Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, as you can tell by the title, we'll be talking about a snowstorm that is occurring across the southern United States, North Carolina, South Carolina, portions of Virginia, Maryland. The reason I didn't upload a video the past 2 days is there was obviously a lot of unconfidence with the system, but that's not the main reason. The main reason is I was just super busy. Recently just started up school, so I couldn't keep up with, I guess, making these videos as much. And there was a lot of uncertainty about the storm. If you recall, I said that there was a growing threat for a large system. And while there is a snowstorm, right, and you could see it's going to be very impactful and dangerous, I did think that it was going to be a bit more impactful than it just kind of clipped the area of the mid-Atlantic areas. But, yeah, let me just, start talking about this because there's a lot of details to go over. There's a lot of things that could be occurring here that are very interesting but dangerous and powerful. And I also want to go over the long-range pattern because there are some very interesting signs, much more active pattern potentially starting up at the around a week from today, meaning much larger systems, a lot more, I guess, cooler weather to track rather than just kind of a boring pattern we've been having ever since that big last system that kind of carved up portions of the eastern and central United States. If this is your first time watching this channel, hello and welcome. I am a weather hobbyist, weather enthusiast. I talk about the weather. I find joy in talking about it. So if you do perhaps like to listen to it, that's a win-win. Consider liking the video, consider subscribing. The reason I'm saying it at the beginning of the video is because I always forget at the end. But obviously watch the video first because otherwise you don't know if this channel is worthy of a subscription or liking. If you're a returning viewer, obviously liking the video is awesome. If you already know how amazing this content is, I'm joking, but it really does help out your support, your consistent support. Okay, let's start talking about this. First off, I want to go over the different kind of areas that are under this. Notice here we have most of the state of Georgia. There are winter weather advisories for a lot of the eastern, especially eastern Georgia, eastern central Georgia. These are mainly calling for, again, a little bit of ice, a little bit of snow. You can see less than 1 inch, a light glaze of ice. So that could cause, sorry about that, that could definitely cause a bit of travel issues. You don't need a lot of snow to cause travel issues. There was a bit of snow across Atlanta. Right now it's not snowing. There are special weather statement issued, again mainly calling for the same thing, just a little bit less of that precip than in the winter weather advisory areas. And where we really have the danger of this system is right here, where we have that light freezing rain. Ice is definitely by far the worst precip type. It's not even fun to look at. I mean, maybe the trees look pretty in it, but it's really not fun once you start seeing those trees falling onto the power lines and you have power outages just about everywhere. You see people just trying to take out their trash and they are landing on their butts because of how slippery the driveways are. And of course, in cars, right? Travel is just absolutely nightmare from this thing. And yeah, this is like the worst type of precip by far. And you can see up to a half an inch of ice, which, by the way, is definitely enough to cause moderate to severe damage on infrastructure. Not just, causing slipperiness. It could be potentially, again, a destructive ice storm in portions of these areas. I don't think it'll be crippling. I don't think it could cripple this area, but it could be destructive. Some of these areas where you could see could be getting towards even 3/4 of an inch. That says, look at that, power outages most likely. That's extremely dangerous to impossible. This area will just get absolutely hammered by freezing rain. And then in the winter weather, sorry I keep jumping around, but in the winter storm warning areas, there is also mention of snow, and you can see that's the main threat for these areas. And this is much more better. You have sleet, a little bit of snow, 3 to 5 inches. That's a pretty good event for you guys across the Outer Banks into portions of South Carolina. You also have a little bit of snow, Columbia, South Carolina. I don't know if I have viewers from there. Maybe, perhaps, I think I do. 1 to 3 inches, which is definitely a good event. Notice Savannah, Georgia is under a, well, I don't think just quite under a winter weather advisory. You're almost there. You could see a little bit of snowflakes mixing in. They're not showing any, but there's a small chance of you seeing some snow. I don't think it will be very significant. And then as you get closer towards the southern path of, I think that's Maryland, right? That little tail. And okay, no, that's actually Virginia. I'm sorry about that. You can see 2 to 4 inches. So again, nothing extreme, but definitely a potent system, especially for the more southern areas where 2 to 4 inches is really quite a bit. And then again, this is why I call it kind of a boring pattern. You can see the rest of the country is really just a a boarding pattern. And you know, we do have freeze advisories here. Let me go back to that. I clicked on it and then moved away. But let me click on some of these southern locations. Again, this is pretty far south, but you can see 27. This may be the first frost, a hard freeze for many of these areas, which is why there's a warning. So that's pretty darn cold. Across the Colorado Rockies, Boulder mainly, there is some snow falling, or it did fall, and you can see they're expecting 1 to 3 and 1 to 2 tonight. So definitely a bit of snow is anticipated across those areas. Now, if you look towards, well, now this is glitched out. My mouse, for some reason, just stopped working. Technical difficulties on this channel sometimes never cease to amaze me. I can't have a mouse that works. But what I was trying to say is that there's a little light band of snow across the upper plains. You can see across the Twin Cities, Minnesota, Minneapolis, are under a special weather statement. There is a little bit of light snow across the Great Lakes, and that's to do with the series of weather clippers that will be bringing very light snow. And this is just one of 3 that will be occurring into this week. But let's go back and start focusing on this winter storm. Now that I got my mouse to work, let's start showing you the radar. I think I already showed you this. Yeah, I definitely did. But let me just show you this a little bit more in detail and show you the last few hours. So notice this is 2:30 p.m. Central Time. So for the eastern areas, where this is occurring, this is 3:30. Notice the snow in Atlanta has been occurring for a few hours. Actually, you can see. I'm assuming it was falling at a light enough rate where it didn't really accumulate much, because looking at the snowfall reports, there really aren't even any across Georgia. I'm assuming that it just kind of melted once it made contact with the areas, you know, on the ground. There are some light snowfall amounts here, but you can see they're from the morning, 6 a.m., 7 a.m. There are some amounts starting to come in the last like 6 hours, and you can see we have 1/10 of an inch right there, 5 p.m. measured. So I mean, that's barely just a dusting, really. But notice we do have that freezing rain. Wilmington, Columbia, we're transitioning over to more of a sleet scenario at this point, but that snow really filled in. Notice Norfolk, Raleigh, I should say, Raleigh. There we go. That's how you say it. You can see it's filling in with snowfall. Wilmington continuing with ice, and we'll probably continue to see ice. Obviously, rain to the southern areas, but it's really just light kind of rain. Notice we still have a little light band of snow across Atlanta that may still kind of pivot in. And these areas will continue to see snow again, potentially up to 6 inches across some of these areas. You can see Greenville probably getting quite a bit, Goldsboro, Elizabeth City, Kitty Hawk, eventually probably transitioning over to a bit of snowfall in Norfolk, obviously, and these areas of Virginia. Also under that winter storm warning. Let's take a look at some of the weather models. I did show you the snowfall reports. Again, they're very preliminary. They're just starting to come in. Based on the GFS, notice this is 6 p.m. Pretty good job. It's a bit more well developed, that storm system. But let's see what it does. At midnight, this is what the system looks like. Okay, you can see it's a pretty good event going on. So if you're already seeing snow right now across Greenville or whatever, the areas I kind of just mentioned, you will continue to see that snow well into the night today. So if you're already at an inch, you'll probably be an overproducer. And again, it just depends, because a lot of these locations, it could be snowing heavily but barely accumulating. And across some of the other areas, it could be snowing just barely and accumulating. It's all based off the temperatures. Notice that this thing does get away by tomorrow in a day. It is done. It's over. So even if you get clobbered by over 6 inches of snow and that heavy I guess ice, this will stop, right? And you'll definitely have time for cleanup. Notice total snowfall right by the Outer Banks of shore, maybe over 8 inches of snow. It wouldn't be out of the question. The ice will be there as well, and I do want to show you something very important, that the temperatures won't be cold, or won't be that cold. Into Sunday and Saturday, Saturday to Sunday and Monday, they stay just to the north, the coldest temperatures, the 32-degree line. Right now, you may be wondering, why is that good news? Well, that means that all the ice will have a chance to melt all the snow. Now, again, I'm speaking from this as a logistical perspective. You don't want ice when you're on the roadways or trees that are just burdened with it. Obviously, if you want snow, that's a bit unfortunate. It's going to probably melt. Maybe not all of it, because the temperatures will be marginal, but I think it's more of a good thing, especially since this is an ice scenario. So that's what the GFS shows in terms of total snowfall. The Canadian, I want to show you this one. It's a different model. Notice how it takes a little bit of that snow and puts it into Virginia, and more of maybe even portions of Maryland. It's a bit further towards towards the north, generally in agreement though. And then the last model I want to show you from the global, so kind of the long range ones, is the European. Notice there it is again. By tomorrow or mid-morning, it's already out of there for every single location actually. Assuming a 10-to-1 ratio, whoa, let's not get that far out. Right there at 108 hours, you can see there are going to be areas that get 2, 3, 4 inches, right? There again, some of these areas may seem more. There could be even areas in Outer Banks that see well over, sorry about that, well over 8 inches of snow. So now, the National Weather Service officially calls for a good combination of all those models. Notice that for the snowfall graphic, they show 4 to 6, 4 to 6, 4 to 6 across these areas. 3 to 4, Franklin, Emporia, 2 to 3, Williamsburg, 1 to 2, Accomack, 3 to 4 inches. And I'm assuming that right here are the highest amounts, obviously, of ice and snow. I'm assuming as well. Maybe I'm not right, but I think some of these areas, especially say Nags Head right there. Let's take a look at that. Hopefully we don't click on the ocean. Yeah, no, so you clicked on ocean. I think these areas could definitely see the most amount of snow here out of this whole system. I guess not 1 to 3, so I guess the ice might cut in probably just north of these areas though. And yeah, some of these areas, you know, if you just get a few additional hours of snow, of heavy intense snow, this thing could definitely drop a bit more off. So you saw 4 to 6 is kind of the tops of what they put, the National Weather Service. I think there could be areas that see over 6 inches easily if this thing kind of just squeezes out a bit more than expected of precip. Again, I'm going to play this into 9 p.m. This is now 10 p.m., 11. There's a time frame, right? Notice, you know, Kitty Hawk, you're getting into the snow. I just chose that location because I saw it was still raining. You're going to be getting into the snow very shortly, if not already at this point occurring, as that rain snow lines is pretty much right over your area. Notice that by the time it's midnight, you know, it's mostly snow for a lot of these locations, other than the coastal areas where the treacherous ice continues. And then again, by tomorrow mid-morning, this thing is out of here. And we start seeing more of a warming trend for some of the south. Again, you could see pretty good amounts of snow. I could show you a different model, NAM 12KM. This one definitely a bit more aggressive with that, more towards the central southern Outer Banks rather than the northern portions of it. RGM Canadian high rise, you could see a bit further towards the north as well, similar to what the Canadian Global showed. I'm just running through these because I want to show you that the consistency is pretty good. This one limits a lot of the snow. Again, probably not going to happen. It's going to be a bit bigger of a swath of snow there. And thankfully, this thing is limited. Thankfully, this started way across the North Carolina coast and not back into portions of Mississippi. Because imagine if that happened. You may be thinking, oh, more snow for everyone. But think of the ice threat. This thing, this ice threat, assuming the dynamics were the same and it kind of proportionally grew with the size of the system, the ice, you know, it could have covered a lot bigger chunk of the southeastern United States, that crippling ice. It is going to be crippling, and the areas that are going to be affected are going to be pretty much devastated by some of the impacts of this. I shouldn't say devastated because that's a bit overstated, but temporarily at least they will be kind of taken aback by this, I should say. And you know, it's thankfully though it's a smaller area, and you know, it could have been a lot more of these states, but Wilmington, Charleston getting a little bit of the ice, possibly even more areas. So again, you know, we'll have to keep an eye on this. And you know, look at that, we have an intensifying rain pocket transitioning over to snow. That could mean some higher snowfall accumulations for South Carolina, Athens, seeing a few tenths of an inch of snow maybe. And yeah, we'll just have to monitor this. So again, there's not that much to talk about it because of how short-lived it is, and it pretty much moves out of there very quickly. I'm sorry I'm jumping around so much. I do want to show you now a bit more of the long range. And actually, before we do that, let's go back to the HER model. If you recall, I showed you this model to show you the total snowfall, right? But I want to go back to the 18Z model of this. I apologize, I'm clicking around so much. But I want to show you the temperatures. So once the system moves away, if your call is 8 a.m. January 22nd, it's pretty much out of there. So let's go to 8 a.m. You can see a lot of areas below freezing. But during the day, many areas, if not most, other than the areas that see the heaviest snow with that snowpack, go above freezing. Now during the night, you dip below. So again, that could be a flash freeze event. Not to enormous proportions because you can see it's at 31, 32 degrees. So it's barely enough to keep it below freezing. But during the next day on a Sunday, you can see they warm up, so all of the ice is going to be gone. You know, whether you like that or not, it's most likely going to happen. It's probably going to be more of a benefit than a loss, as that ice is just treacherous. But notice to the north we have these shields of just bitter cold air. We're kind of I guess patrolling the borders, and they will be kind of dipping and brutally attacking portions of the Midwest and the Northeast with their cold air. And that's what leads me into talking about another thing within today's video. There's going to be some snow for more northern areas in a series of small clippers. We do have one going on right now. Here's the first system. Notice Minneapolis got some snow out of this. Not significant. I'm assuming they barely got even an inch out of that. Des Moines got a little bit of snow out of that into portions of Wisconsin, Omaha. Des Moines may get a little bit of snow out of this. Again, that is the first minor event. That's what's going to bring the first blast of cold air. That's going to set up the highway, if you will, for these smaller clippers. So that's our first wave. You can see affects Michigan, the UP, maybe southern Canada. And then look, we have this little band of precip that actually has decent atmospheric conditions working with it. You're going to be supported with decent snow rates. It's going to be very moisture starved, but it is going to be producing a widespread swath of 1 to 3 inches across kind of northern Iowa, southern Minnesota, into Illinois, Chicago. I know I have people from Illinois and Indiana saying they've seen no snow this winter. This won't be anything significant, but it will bring a bit of that fluffy snow. Maybe into southern Detroit. It most likely will pass just south of you, and I know Detroit's also been relatively snowless, but there's going to be more systems behind us. Look, we have another clipper, and this time Detroit could get the brunt of this one, or the heavy snow swath associated with it, which again wouldn't be significant, but a clipper after clipper, you could see a few inches pile up. You're going to create a nice snowy scenario. Again, nothing unfortunately that's massive. I know some people like that. There will be a bigger system for the Northeast midweek. Next week it looks more and more likely. Nothing extraordinary, but a system nonetheless that could drop a widespread swath of several inches across portions of the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, maybe into portions of kind of the Mid-South. And then we have another clipper coming in. This one again affects very similar areas: Chicago, Detroit, Indiana, probably the strongest of them all. Very good cold air with this. Again, because of these clippers and these cold blasts of air, the eastern and northeastern, especially northeastern United States, here, northeastern kind of half or third, will be very, very cold. So any of that snow you get will not be melting. Don't count on it, even if it's a little bit. And then notice some models, I also want to say, have been extremely advocating of a large system. I don't know what I'm trying to say. They've been extremely advocating for this. They've been very loud about this storm. So this is still very far out, and I want to say that the GFS and European are in line. They both show different systems, but one of equal strength and of general similar track. So you can see, obviously, if this were to occur, this is still pretty far out, but it is something that I'm starting to take note of. I may start making videos on this soon. And this will kind of mark the start of an active pattern. Yes, these clippers aren't really that of an active pattern. Now, what I mean is, we start seeing moisture returning in from the west. Obviously, we see a giant system here, but look, further towards the west, we see more moisture. We're potentially across more of the mountains, the south, allowing us to see bigger systems. Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Ohio. Look at that. Nice little system, Murray. Again, I'm not saying this will occur this way. I'm just showing the activity. Much more from the south, north, right, than just from these kind of northeast, northwest dry clipper type stuff. Notice the northwest continues supplying with moisture. Oregon, right, California, Nevada, Salt Lake City areas. Look at that snow, big system. I mean, just a lot larger storm systems, and the cold remains. So a lot of these areas will be seeing snow. It's just finally they aren't these little measly systems that are just like little clippers or whatnot. But you look at that, you see storm after storm across some of these areas. They pile up. You can see very good amounts of snow with this. In fact, very good amounts of snow, assuming a 10-to-1. Which, by the way, guys, if you look at some of these clipper systems that will be occurring into the Midwest this upcoming week, you're right. Let's go. Let me go here. They will, if you were just to take a look at a 10-to-1 ratio. Let's go to the most updated weather model. You would see that, assuming all 4 clippers occur the same, which there could be up to 4 clippers during this time frame, not any of them super significant. You could see, the tops is just going to be 3 inches. That's assuming a 10-to-1, but these will be falling at almost double that ratio because of how cold it will be. So some of these areas, look how much this will expand. The Cuchera, this is probably a bit more accurate. Now, I don't think there will be a foot of snow from just purely clippers across some of these areas, but I do think that there's a potential some localized areas could get over 6-7 inches, not from an event, just overall. Will that be northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, maybe Detroit, maybe Ohio? We'll have to see, but definitely a bit more active from what we've been seeing. And then in the future, with those bigger systems, you can see stuff explodes, especially if that northeast system were to occur. Some of these amounts are legendary across these areas. Where obviously that system alone would just clobber the northeast. If you look at that, some of these areas go from Boston 2 inches to wherever that system occurs, and boom. I mean, that would be that would be a nightmare. Obviously, if you don't like snow. If you like snow, still, it's probably a bit too much. Regardless, UK Met, this is the United Kingdom model, 10-to-1 ratio again, not the accurate one, but you can see it shows that clipper pattern, lake effect going on across most of the lakes, and some mountain snow. So that's pretty much it, guys. I know it's a bit shorter video, nothing I would kind of, not really shorter, just a bit more disorganized video, not really talking about one particular thing. NEM model, this model doesn't go out far. It goes out to 84 hours. This one takes us through Tuesday, so it goes through, I think, 2 out of the 4 clippers. And you can see decent amounts, assuming a correct snowfall ratio. Obviously, nothing legendary, but 4 or 5 inches of fluffy snow, especially further north, the fluffier it will be. And our DPS Canadian high res shows very similar doing of snow across these areas. You can see this may be a bit too aggressive, as I'll show you the precip kind of graph of this, and that might be just a bit unreasonable. You can see a bit of snow. That's probably a bit overplayed, as you can see on the radar that today's system is not as widespread. Regardless, that passes through, drops a little bit of snow. There's our first more compact, smaller, a bit more severe, if you will, clipper tomorrow. Then we have the lake effect. Then there's that big one, that can drop decent amounts more into Wisconsin and Michigan. And then, yeah, that's just from the clippers. I don't know if that will be enough to drop that much snow across the Twin Cities, or just west of them, just east, I should say. This one, HR FV3, it's a high-res kind of model. Can only look at this one regionally, so let's just take a look at the Midwest as where most of this activity is occurring. This one goes out only to 60 hours, and you can see there's that first clipper today. Again, just a few tenths of an inch. The thing is, this may look absolutely not significant, but these areas are bone cold. I mean, everything is frozen. The sun could be shining all day like it was today for my area. Nothing melted. It's just beyond cold. So any snowflake that falls will cause slippery conditions. You can see there's that clipper on into Saturday and Sunday. You may be thinking this is a bit further towards the south than some of the models. That is correct. This one probably will be a bit further towards the north than this one shows in particular, but we'll have to wait and see. There's potential for a bit of a deviance. And then, yeah, that's the FV3, so that's how the first 2 clippers unfold, and you can see the third one starting to come in right there. And yeah, that's basically all I wanted to tell you guys. Nothing really too significant other than some areas of lake effect snow. Obviously, this ice storm, which is a significant part, but I was ignoring that when I said that, as this one could really be damaging today. But after that, a bit of a quiet period, but again, you know, it's only quiet for a little bit. We have potentially a very significant threat of snow for the Northeast coming into around that 1.5 week time frame. So yeah, that's basically it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next episode. See ya. Bye.